I think another concept that we need to talk about, which I don't ever hear about, and maybe I'm inventing,
Mm-hmm.
which is generational taxation, where basically you've been taxed in some way
Mm-hmm.
because you weren't able to, either you were being held back or you had boundaries or some whatever reason
Mm-hmm.
you weren't able to grow your own generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because generational wealth is compounded.
Yeah.
The more you have, the more you can obtain. Just like any rich person, you're already rich, so you can obtain more stuff that will
Mm-hmm.
make you more rich, and
Yep.
you
Yep.
just that process just keeps repeating. But if you're poor, just
Mm-hmm.
even getting into that first thing of ownership
Yeah.
is already hard. And then as people who like never had those things, we don't even recognize that we need to keep it and maintain it and pass it on. Like how much black people own a house, instead of passing it on to their kids for free, they either want to sell it to kids or sell it to somebody else because they need that money for retirement or whatever.
Yeah. That's
It's
true.
like,
Well, I know the opposite is happening now, I believe, where people are getting taxed on money that they inherit once it's over a certain amount. So I don't, I feel like certain things come into play that people think help, but it doesn't really help anybody. Because doing that doesn't really
yeah,
affect anybody unless you have it.
right.
So what you're talking about is a very good idea. But then it's like, who do you give it to? Because everybody
Yeah.
could say that I didn't get this or I didn't get that, which is probably true for them.
Well, I know of someone who is going to pass on their house to their children, and all the children are going to equally own it.
Hmm.
Um, but it also depends on the individuals. So back in the past, normally when you pass on your, what do you call it, inheritance? I guess inheritance. When you pass on the thing that people are going to inherit,
Hmm.
um, you normally give it to the eldest,
Yeah.
which is also unfair in my opinion. But I'm the eldest, so I guess it doesn't affect me. But you normally pass it on to the eldest, right?
Yeah.
And then the eldest decides what to do with it.
Hmm.
But you also usually invest a lot of stuff into the eldest as well to train them to take over or train them to make
Yep.
sure to keep it
That's what I was
in the
talking about.
family.
Yeah.
But I think in modern times, the person I know, they're passing it on. They're giving it to all three of their kids. They're
Hmm.
splitting it equally, and
Hmm.
then they're leaving it up to the kids to decide how they want to handle the property. Either they're going to rent it out, or they're going to give full ownership to only one of them, or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but that leaves room for greed, as we all know. People might be like, "Well, I'm the eldest, or I'm the person who lived on near the place longest, or whatever different reasons people could make up for why they should get sole ownership."
Well,
So
to be devil's advocate again, I've known someone that's in a situation as well where their parents they left all the kids everything equally.
mhm,
So everything is split down. The land is split into five, no, four. The estate split into four, which works because they're a decent group, so they have that. But then you have situations where I don't feel like it's fair for it to be equal. And let me explain. Because you could have, let's say you have three kids, and then you get old, and then two take care of you, and one leaves, and they never come around, they never come visit you, and things like that. But they only show up when inheritance time comes around because they know money's coming into play. And I feel like that's unfair to the other
yeah,
two and to you as a parent because risk basically your life to take care of them, and then in your time of need, they leave. So I feel like they should have clauses in there where things like closeness and time actually do come into play because they do matter in the long run.
yeah, I agree with that. I do think it's a little unfair if people who literally only come around from, actually that happened recently to another person I know,
Hmm.
where he was taking care of someone who wasn't even his family member,
Yeah.
because he's like a church man,
Hmm.
and the person that he was taking care of actually was his aunt, but like she was married into the family. She wasn't like his blood aunt,
Gotcha.
so he was taking care of his aunt. And her son, her only child,
Hmm.
never took care of her,
Hmm.
never was around. He left, never came back. Then when she died, she actually wrote in her will for the guy who was taking care of her to inherit all her stuff.
Yep.
And her son was upset by that because he was like, I'm her son. I should have that stuff, not you,
Yeah.
you know? But then the person who inherited was like, but I took care of your mom for like for so long. Like I
Yeah.
didn't even have to do that. I
Hmm.
only even took care of her because I knew that you wasn't doing it.
And he didn't
I
even
was
do it
taking
for
up,
the money.
yeah, and I wasn't doing it for any reason. I didn't
Yeah.
even know she was gonna leave me her land. Like so, like basically that kind of points out what you were saying. Like
Yeah.
it really should go to somebody who actually was in that person's life in some way.
Yeah.
But in the
Just have a
example,
clause or something.
yeah, in the example I was given though, I think all three of this person's children are in their life.
Okay.
Um, but and I also don't think that they're gonna be like greedy or anything. Like, but you never know. People
Yeah.
often they're unpredictable.
Hmm.